If you grew up in the 1980s or discovered what the decade had to offer much later on, you're probably familiar with these hit television shows that had everyone glued to their sets. Other shows, unfortunately, didn't get a chance to make their mark. In this video, we're going to talk about some of them that premiered in the 80s but never made it past one season. Or two at the most. Bosom Buddies aired on ABC from November 27, 1980 to March 27, 1982. It produced 37 episodes across 2 seasons. Created by Robert L. Boyett, Thomas L. Miller, and Chris Thompson, it was conceived by Miller and Boyett as a male counterpart to their hit sitcom, Laverne and Shirley. The series centered on the misadventures of Kip Wilson, played by future Oscar winner Tom Hanks, and Henry Desmond, played by Peter Scolari, 2 single men who work in creative advertising and disguise themselves as women named Buffy and Hildegard, respectively, in order to live at the Susan B. Anthony Hotel, which is the only place that they're able to afford. Like many other sitcoms that aired during the 1980 to 81 television season, Bosom Buddies felt the effects of a strike by the Screen Actors Guild and American Federation of Television and Radio Arts that occurred in 1980. As a result, the show had an abbreviated first season. In the beginning, the ratings for Bosom Buddies were strong. However, ABC kept switching the show's day and time slots, which hurt the first season's overall standing. The show's second season fared even worse, even after the drag element was de-emphasized and the show moved closer to the creator's original concept of a regular buddy comedy following the reveal of the male character's ruse. After more time slot changes by the network, it was eventually canceled. Square Pegs aired on CBS from September 27, 1982 to March 7, 1983. It produced 20 episodes across 1 season. The series followed Patty Green, played by future Sex and the City star Sarah Jessica Parker, and Lauren Hutchinson, played by Amy Linker, 2 awkward teenage girls desperate to fit in and become popular at their high school. While the show received decent reviews right out of the gate, and the premiere won its Monday at 8 time slot, after that, it was an uphill battle. It aired the same night as CBS's MASH in its final season, and eventual powerhouse Newhart in its first, which had significantly older audiences than Square Pegs. Another possible factor fueling the show's demise would reportedly be revealed by creator Ann Beats herself in a TV Guide article. I think that certainly there were some drug abuse or drug traffic that may have happened, because I would say that is norm for a set. An anonymous cast member told the reporters, "People were using. Yeah, there were drugs. The thing that made it very dangerous and stupid in our case was that there were minors on the set." In 2009, decades after 70s new wave band Devo made a cameo appearance in the 9th episode of the show, member Gerald Casale told Heeb magazine that he remembers the cast as, quote, "out of control. They were doing drugs and they were making out and they were coming onto us in a big way. They might have been 15 or 16, but in their heads, they were already 40. I don't think there was a virgin on the set, except maybe a couple of the guys." Anne, however, would later come out and claim that TV Guide got it wrong, telling Vulture, who referenced the TV Guide article in their own piece about her, saying, "Despite TV Guide's sensationalist expose, drugs, ego, and chaos did not kill Square Pegs. Low ratings did." Most Square Peg scenes were shot in the abandoned Excelsior High School in suburban Norwalk, California, about 20 miles outside of Los Angeles, so it was difficult for CBS or the production company, Embassy Television, to know what was really going on during shooting. Allegedly, the production company received numerous reports of drug and alcohol abuse in the presence of minors, which caused Embassy president Michael Grade to ask for an investigation. But by that time, Square Pegs had already finished shooting, and the final plug on the show had been pulled. Police Squad aired on ABC from March 4, 1982 to July 8, 1982. It produced only 6 episodes across 1 season. The show, created by David Zucker, Jim Abrams, and Jerry Zucker, was mainly a spoof of police dramas, especially 1960s M Squad. It revolved around Sergeant Frank Draben, played by Leslie Nielsen, Detective Lieutenant of Police Squad, a special department of the police force. ABC announced the cancellation of the show after 4 of its 6 episodes had aired in March 1982. The final 2 episodes were aired that summer. In an interview for the DVD release of the series, Leslie said ABC Entertainment president Tony Tomopoulos asserted Police Squad was canceled because viewers had to pay close attention to the show in order to get much of the humor. In its annual Cheers and Jeers issue, TV Guide magazine called the explanation the most stupid reason a network ever gave for ending a series. Before the series started, there were already ideas to make a movie, but there wasn't enough material to do this. After the cancellation, though, the creators changed their mind and decided to make a movie, which they called The Naked Gun, from the files of Police Squad. It was released in 1988. 2 sequels followed, the second in 1991 and the third and last film in 1994. Jennifer Slept Here aired on NBC from October 21st, 1983 to May 12, 1984. The show was about Jennifer Farrell, played by Ann Gillian, a once popular movie actress who in 1978 made the unfortunate mistake of chasing an ice cream truck near her Los Angeles, California home. When the ice cream truck accidentally backed up, it ran over her, killing her. Several years later, the Elliott family from New York City, made up of patriarch George, played by Brandon Maggart, who was a lawyer that handled Jennifer's posthumous affair, including the house, his wife Susan, played by Georgia Engel, and their 2 children, teenage son Joey, played by John P. Navin Jr., and 8-year-old daughter Marilyn, played by Maya Ackerlin, moved into Jennifer's home. The plot of the series was that Jennifer haunted the house, apparently to mentor and befriend Joey, who was the only person to whom she made herself visible. Even though the show aired in a tough Friday night time slot between The Dukes of Hazzard on CBS and Webster on ABC, it attracted somewhat decent ratings. Repeats of the series, which were shown on Wednesday nights during the summer of 1984, often managed to make the top 30, but it wasn't enough to guarantee a second season, and the show ended after 13 episodes. Paper Dolls aired on ABC from September 23, 1984 to December 25, 1984. It produced 14 episodes across 1 season. The primetime soap opera, based on a 1982 made-for-TV movie of the same name, was set in New York's fashion industry and centered on top modeling agency owner Racine, played by Morgan Fairchild, her conflicts with the family of cosmetics tycoon Grant Harper, played by Lloyd Bridges, and the careers of 2 teenage models, Laurie Caswell, played by Terry Farrell, and Taryn Blake, played by Nicolette Sheridan. The series attempted to ride the wave of popular nighttime soaps, such as Dallas and Dynasty. But even with a series of rave reviews and people urging viewers to give the show a chance, ratings were low, and the series wasn't able to find an audience, due in large part because it had been preempted on some weeks by the baseball playoffs. The Duck Factory aired on NBC from April 12 to July 11, 1984. The show was about a young man, Skip Tarkenton, played by Jim Carrey in his first lead role in a Hollywood production, who gets a job as a cartoonist for an animation company nicknamed The Duck Factory, as their main cartoon is called The Dippy Duck Show. When The Duck Factory first premiered, it initially aired on Thursday nights after Cheers, but in June it was then switched to Wednesday nights, where it ended its run after 13 episodes. Pryor's Place aired for 1 season on CBS from September 15th to December 8th, 1984. The live-action series aimed at children was hosted by Richard Pryor, offering a rare glimpse into the sensitive side of the pioneering R-rated comic. In 1983, creators Sid and Marty Krofft had gotten the idea that Richard could find success on Saturday morning television, much like Bill Cosby had with Fat Albert, and approached CBS. The network agreed to it if they could land Richard, as well as get the rerun rights to the brothers' previous hit, The Land of the Lost. At the time, Richard was focusing on more family-oriented projects, as part of an effort to clean himself up after having set himself on fire while freebasing cocaine in 1980. That shift in his focus, and his love of children, not to mention a very persuasive Marty, led Richard to agree to do the show. Pryor's Place was pretty much an urban version of Sesame Street. It starred real people interacting with puppets to teach life lessons to children. However, the topics were far edgier. The set was modeled after the neighborhood where Richard grew up, accenting the anecdotes he would share with the audience that set the theme for the episode to follow. Richard, along with playing himself, also starred as a variety of characters. While the series went on to be nominated for several Daytime Emmy Awards, it failed to reach a significant audience. Part of that was due to its being broadcast in the 11:30 time slot, which in some markets was reserved for local programming and resulted in it being pushed back. The low-key humor was also pointed out as being a possible cause, failing to grab audiences who may have been expecting something different from Richard. The end result was the series being canceled after 13 episodes. Charlie and Company aired on CBS from September 18, 1985 to May 16, 1986. The show is regarded as CBS's answer to The Cosby Show, which was a rating success for rival NBC at the time. It was centered on the Richmonds, a middle-class African-American family that lived on the south side of Chicago. The family consisted of Father Charlie, played by Flip Wilson, who worked for the Division of Highways, wife Diana, played by Gladys Knight, who worked as a school teacher, and the couple's 3 children. 16-year-old Junior, played by Christophe St. John, 15-year-old Lauren, played by Fran Robinson, and 9-year-old Robert, played by future Family Matters star Jaleel White. During the latter half of the first season, Della Reese joined the cast as Charlie's sister, Aunt Rachel. CBS canceled the series after 1 season and 18 episodes due to low ratings. He's the Mayor aired on ABC from January 10th to March 21st, 1986. The series centered on Carl Burke, played by Kevin Hooks, who's elected as the mayor of his hometown at the age of 25. There really isn't much to say about the show since there's barely any information about it online. It was canceled after airing 13 episodes, leaving 3 of them unaired. Melba starred singer and actress Melba Moore in the lead role. The series centered on her character, Melba Patterson, a divorced mother who worked as the director of New York's Manhattan Visitors Center. She was raising her 9-year-old daughter Tracy, played by Jamila Perry, with the help of her mother Rose, played by Barbara Meek, and her white, quote-unquote, sister, Susan Slater, played by Gracie Harrison, who Melba has known since childhood when Rose worked as the housekeeper for Susan's family. The show premiered on January 28, 1986, which sadly was the same day the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster occurred. It ranked as the lowest rated program of the week, causing it to be pulled from the schedule. The remaining 5 episodes of the series aired from August 2nd to September 13th, 1986. Frank's Place aired from September 14th, 1987 to March 22nd, 1988. The series centered on the life of Frank Parrish, played by Tim Reed, an Ivy League University professor who inherits a restaurant called Chez Louisiane in New Orleans, Louisiana, that used to belong to his deceased father. Despite going on to win 3 Emmys, including Best Writing for a Comedy Series, the show received low ratings from the very beginning, possibly due to a time slot that wouldn't stay put and resulted in its cancellation after 1 season and 22 episodes. Baby Boom was a sitcom series based on the 1987 film of the same name. It aired from September 10, 1988 to September 10, 1989 on NBC, lasting for 1 season and 13 episodes, leaving 5 of them unaired. The series centered on J.C. Wyatt, played by Kate Jackson, a single woman and Harvard-educated lawyer who was given full custody of her deceased relative's 2-year-old daughter, Elizabeth, played by twins Christina and Michelle Kennedy. In 1988, NBC announced that the series would go on hiatus after the December 21st episode. The network had planned on bringing the show back after making certain creative changes, but only 3 leftover episodes aired in the summer of 1989. Living Dolls was an ABC network sitcom and spin-off of Who's the Boss that starred Leah Remini, Michael Learned, Deborah Tucker, Allison Elliott, David Moscow, and Halle Berry in her first acting role. The show centered on Charlie Briscoe, played by Leah Remini, a homeless model and friend of Samantha Maselli, played by Alyssa Milano from Who's the Boss, who becomes a part of a modeling agency for teenage girls, owned by Trish Carlin, played by Michael Learned. The show premiered on September 26, 1989, and was given negative feedback by critics. People magazine even gave the show an F in its 1989 fall preview issue. After airing only 12 episodes, the show was canceled on December 30th, 1989. Homeroom aired on ABC from September 16th to December 17th, 1989. It starred stand-up comedian Daryl Savad as Daryl Harper, a 4th grade teacher. ABC executives created the show as a vehicle for Daryl after seeing his routine on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. Daryl, the character, a highly paid advertising copywriter, decides to quit his job to teach underprivileged kids at an inner-city school in New York City. His wife Virginia, played by Penny Johnson, supports his choice, but her father, Phil Drexler, played by Bill Cobbs, does not, and makes sure that Daryl knows it. He feels perfectly justified in doing so, as Daryl and Virginia live rent-free in the brownstone he owns and also lives in. In an effort to save the series, the cast and producers asked viewers to start a letter-writing campaign. Executive producer Topper Carew even went on a cross-country promotional tour to schools, where he showed the series to students and teachers and held a Q&A session afterwards. He also mailed letters and contacted African-American organizations and activists asking them to watch the show and to talk about it. Despite all of that, ABC canceled the series. 3 of the 13 episodes produced were never aired. Alien Nation aired on Fox from September 18, 1989 to May 7, 1990. Adapted from the 1988 Alien Nation film, it stars Gary Graham as Detective Matthew Seitz, an officer of the Los Angeles Police Department reluctantly working with newcomer alien Sam George Francisco, played by Eric Pierpoint. The weekly series was one of the few successes the fledgling Fox network had at the time. However, Fox suffered from financial shortage caused by lower than expected advertising income. As a result, the executives canceled all of their dramatic series for the 1990 to 91 season. A second season of Alien Nation was clearly expected by the producers as the season ended with a cliffhanger. The show built a strong fan base, and popular demand led to the episode that would have begun the second season being novelized and adapted as a comic book, as well as spawning a series of novels. A few years later, after a change of management at Fox, the story of Alien Nation continued, with 5 television films, including all the original cast, picking up with the cliffhanger.